Dr. Mark Jangizi here with your Science Moment. Today I'm going to talk about the Georgia Guidestones, which were vandalized and destroyed. So these are, its relationship to free expression and intolerance, and in this case intolerance coming from the right. And let me just remind you, or tell you, because none of us know, what the Georgia Guidestones are. So in 1980, apparently these sort of Stonehenge-like pillars were erected, and it has a very sort of hippie communist kind of sort of expressive message that it's trying to send, which is sort of live close to the land and keep the population low over time so that we can live in harmony with nature, that kind of sort of hippie style stuff. Now, it was vandalized. Someone exploded part of it, and then the government had to take the rest down because it was no longer stable. Now, the folks on the right in this case, lots of folks on my stream who are disproportionately on the right post-COVID and COVID authoritarianism, as more people on the right were against that kind of authoritarianism, have been saying, yeah, this is so great that they exploded this thing I didn't even know about 2 days ago. This is like a real win for our side. It's like, now, this is saddening and frustrating. These folks that are cheering on the vandalism of this monument are the same folks that seem to be arguing for the last 2 years how dangerous it is that the federal government or that private companies like big tech or intolerance generally from the populace towards free expression. That is, we've been attacked, we've been suspended, they've been trying to cancel us for our expression, whether it's artistic or otherwise, doesn't really matter. And we've been pushing back on that, saying this, look, and we started a research institute ourselves, Dr. Tim Barber and I, to study this in detail. And so we seem to have all these followers. Yeah, free expression is important. You can't find the truth without free expression. And in a society that just stops misinformation, all that means is you're stopping one side of the argument, which means that you basically can't then see both sides of the argument. You can't move toward the truth. All of these things are deeply damaging. Not only that, but after George Floyd, the left went on a tirade pulling down statues all over the country and the world. And the folks on the right who are free, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. This is not right. And so here now we have some completely unknown statue on the other side, and everybody's cheering. Hey, I'm so glad that they're taking this down. It's such a danger because this hippie stuff was suggesting that we should have a population that's smaller than at the time, and so they were engaged in genocide. I mean, let's set aside, I don't even want to get into this, that's ridiculous. The point isn't to go defend the speech that has been censored. The point is that you have to respect the speech of peoples whose opinions you loathe. That's the point. We don't need a principle of free speech. We don't need a principle of free expression. We don't need to create tolerance and try to push tolerance on other people to have tolerance for the ideas that they like. They like those ideas. They're not going to try to censor those ideas. The only reason we talk about free speech, the only reason we talk about free expression and tolerance is for ideas that you don't like. And it's not just that you don't like them, like chocolate or vanilla ice cream. No, you think they're dangerous. That's why we don't like certain kinds of ideas. I think communism is deeply dangerous. Like, I'm dead against it. I think that ultimately authoritarianism is deeply dangerous. The COVID interventions were deeply dangerous, in my opinion. But do I say that these people shouldn't be allowed to speak? No, because that is more dangerous than anything of all, is having that kind of power to destroy one side's expression. Now, so if you say, well, no, this is different, because they were suggesting, amongst all the other hippie stuff, that they're saying we should go to a lower population, and let's suppose that you believe that, and they were going to do something that was authoritarian and dangerous. Look, the folks that are pro-lockdown, the COVID hysterical, do you know what they think of me and you for our positions for the last 2 years? What were we doing? We weren't in some field someplace on some wall that no one ever read saying some obscure thing, right? No, we were in their face telling them to stop doing the interventions. We were telling them that they were harmful and useless. From their point of view, we were actively, acutely engaged in behavior that was putting at risk everybody in the world. Well, that's what they actually believed. They believed that. So don't tell me that you have the justification. We should all be cheering because some speech that you think is dangerous in some field that you never knew about was torn down, and then act as if, oh, so they're totally unjustified on the lockdown side. They're totally unjustified to censor us. No, they believe that we were actively engaged in behavior that was causing great death worldwide. And there's still, many of these people are still saying that. If we're justified to pull down some stupid Stonehenge-like thing, some hippie thing in a field someplace that's never been noticed by anybody, then they're definitely justified by their lights to censor you and me and suspend us and to cancel us and do all the stuff that they've been doing. The principles that we're fighting for, the principles that we're pointing to in all of these kinds of fights have to be actually held by you, actually understood and held by you. And the whole point is to avoid, the point that I'm trying to get across to you is that once you get caught up in a community, then you just see the other side's violations of these principles. You don't see them in yourself because you say, well, they're not a violation because this is different. And then people on Twitter say, Mark, well, those stones are different in 17 different other kinds of ways. They're different. It's okay for us to tear these things down. But totally not okay for them to do that. Totally not okay for them to submit because, well, we're righteous and they're not. And if at the end of the day your argument is that, well, we're righteous and they're not, well, you're at square one. You are just like them. And in that light, we've got our new book coming out. Dr. Tim Barber and my book, Expressly Human, on the origins of emotional expressions and what is free expression and what is how society and the truth depends on it. It's coming out. It's going to be soon available. It's pre-orderable now from Amazon, from Barnes & Noble. Get yourself a copy. Support principled researchers outside academia who fight for freedom in a principled manner and are not afraid. That was your Science Moment.